Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my PvP skills and strategies series. I am Sylphin. In today's video we are doing something different. In this series we just talk about PvP and skills and strategies and what we can do to become better. This one is kind of recent insights and top tips that I have learned from the past while, discussing a few of them and seeing how they can make you a better player. So right off the bat, we have a different little build. We have, I'm trying to see if I should be the Siege Rhino, but our team here doesn't look like going to be maybe a little bit low on damage, so I think I should go for some damage here. So, like usual, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support the channel, please head on over to my Patreon account to become a monthly subscriber, or going over to my Amazon wish list in order to support that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to start off with the tips. Well, our first tip is don't underestimate the value of a health token. Very actually appropriate here that this is the first tip here, because it's actually we have done it ourselves. I had to be solo lane Grux, and I thought that a health potion or a health token would be very appropriate. A lot of heroes start off with a hell of low health, so starting off with some, you know, some damage and some health with that health token is actually going to be really nice. So for me here, I'm going to be able to actually have it take a really easy time in this lane. I have 100 extra health. I have a nice mana potion here. It's going to work nicely. We're gonna let's see if we pull everybody here, and we do. So don't underestimate the value of a health token. If you are a low health hero and you have to do something like solo lane here as a fighter, imagine if this was a caster here, definitely would be a tough time. The next tip here is something that the Mario's not really doing. I should have also said that healer tokens as well is also very powerful instead of the health token. But something else is the circlet of mana and health. Well, they're two separate cards, but those two are actually very valuable as a support for your ranger. Get that if you are a support, and if you do manage to coordinate that, it's very powerful. If you know, having your ranger basically have an unlimited source of mana, of health, is incredibly powerful. So don't underestimate that if you are a support and you are indeed, you know, aiding your ranger in that lane. Get a circlet of mana and health, especially somebody like Grim, who is a little bit more mana intensive, or simply the Murdoch, just, you know, enabling him to put down a ton of traps to keep both you and him safe, stuff like that. Twin Blast can be much more aggressive with, you know, his grenade even. Don't underestimate them. They are incredibly useful, and you know, you really can do quite a lot with them. You really can, really can. Don't underestimate it. Now, this next tip is, I'm not entirely sold on it, but I think it is indeed the correct way to go. So for junglers, what you need to do is get a health potion, or a special potion of some kind that you find works better, or for a certain purpose than health potion. And then what you need to do is then use a strike token and a either a health token or two strike tokens to get some good damage off. And then at the very first 3 CP that you get, what you do is then you go back and get the key. I think that that first 3 CP that you can use in the early game is actually better used for that. I find that if you go for a 3-point key right off the bat, you're really not using that much CP. You're only getting 2 CP value, well, plus obviously the 2 keys, but I don't find that in that first 3 minutes you can't plant them anyways. So I find that, I think if you went a health potion or a special potion and 2 strike tokens as a jungler, and then on the very first 3 CP that you get, you can then get a 2-point key, and then at that, it's like right at the 3-minute mark, it works perfectly, and then you can go back, and then you can start getting those harvesters. I think that is a better way to do it. It really, really works well. Oh, I didn't get that last minion over there either. So let's do burn these. We can put a lot of pressure here. We have a ward there to protect ourselves, and there we go. So this Greystone is pretty hard pressed here to keep this going. So it's going to be quite interesting. We've been very civil in this lane, letting each other get our card points. Been quite nice there, but nobody is defending mid lane. There's got to be a tip in there, but I mean that's just a general learning tip, and these are kind of special tips that I've been trying to, well, just that I have found that I've learned over the past while, and that's not one of those. These are kind of special tips that I've maybe come up with, noticed for a while, and thought that I would share them with you. This next tip here is actually something I'm going to do right now. This is not the best move for me personally because I'm not in the best spot, but it is warding off the enemy jungle in a way that you can actually get all of these 3 of the enemy jungles, the 3 of the camps off. What that does is, oh, there's a Grex right behind me, isn't there? Yes, there is. So he can definitely push this lane, so now I have to retreat, unfortunately. The thing about this though is that we have vision of those 3 camps. Anybody that chooses to be a little cheeky, get some. Sorry, I'm trying to out Grux a Grux here, and because he's now in this lane, I can't really push it up with enough time for it to get back and to have the 6 card points. So anyways, what that does, it's going to enable us to gank anybody that chooses to go in that in that jungle. Going to have a really easy time seeing them and picking them off. There is a video that I did a while ago that the enemy team won just by doing that. They really did. They just won by vision and just they made numbers advantages through those jungle picks, and it was monstrous. The plays that they made is really, really, really powerful for obviously creating numbers advantage, but also for creating a team fight opportunity. This next one, I suppose it's controversial, but I think that a jungler should be allowed to get the keys, to get the, really anything. They should be allowed to get those keys and not kind of be totally relied upon for ganks and stuff like that. Within those first 3, especially 6 minutes, I think that it's actually much more appropriate for the jungler to focus on those key harvesters, those first 4 harvesters, and then Orb Prime at 9 minutes can be grabbed at really kind of whenever. But I really feel like the jungler should be allowed to do that. People should play it safe in lane so that he's not needed to rotate to cover a lane and disrupt that kind of rotation in the jungle. So he or she should be allowed to get those harvesters and get them kind of with relative ease. And then at that point, other people need to focus on collecting from those harvesters and not letting just, the jungler get them, because the jungler does not have all the time in the world to spend on collecting harvesters, they can't. They don't have that much time between rotating everywhere, and it's just, I think it's tough. I really think that it's actually quite tough for them to do kind of everything that's expected to them, and I think that some grace can definitely be given to them. I think that junglers can definitely be a little bit more valuable if your team allows for it, for sure. This next tip is going to be really hard for you, because if you just don't have the cards, you don't have the cards. Ideally, ladies and gentlemen, you should try your hardest to get all 6 slots with 1 point upgrades, and have all of them be 1 point upgrade cards. You want to unlock those bonuses as much as possible, so that by the time that you have 6 slots of all 3 point cards, of all 1 point upgrades, or even 2 point cards with 1 point upgrades, what you can do is actually have 42 CP of value for the only 36 CP that you spend. That is huge. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. That is that is 2 and a bit CP worth of kind of levels that you are ahead of people just by carding smartly, just by using your cards smartly, upgrading your just carding smartly, having a smart deck. You can get extra value out of the CP that you use. It's been really hard for me, especially. I only have 4 minor strike upgrades, 1 point upgrades, for example, and it's next to impossible for me to get more. Like, it's really hard to kind of do anything in terms of that. So it's going to be hard, but you can definitely try your best here to get 6 slots full of 1 point upgrades. This next tip, it's for a particular purpose. What I did there in the left lane, if you take a look on the minimap in the left lane, what I did was, you don't necessarily need to push a lane yourself, be physically in that lane all the time, to push a lane. What you can do, ladies and gentlemen, is just get it going in the right direction. So what that means is be present in the lane until your minions start building up, and then what you do is you leave. You go be a part of a team fight that's happening elsewhere. You leave and get a buff, and then come back while the lane pushes up to a tower, and then you kind of take that tower by surprise. You don't need to physically be in that lane in order to push it up. What that does is, it lets the most important thing is that it lets the lane build up, but what it also does is it enables you, more importantly, to be a part of another lane, a part of a team fight, a part of anything else really that doesn't involve just kind of sitting in lane doing anything else. So for example, here, this lane, no, it won't survive another altercation, but what I can do here is simply just give, because I have some special cards here, I'm giving some buffs to nearby minions, and now that this next wave is here, what I can do is I can then go from this lane into another and try to be useful elsewhere on the map. I don't necessarily need to be in this lane, but what I am going to do is try to see how much damage here we can get off on this tower, and I'm going to use this to get out of here, but then there is going to be a Richter pull. There we go, there's a dodge of that. So yeah, I can be a good presence elsewhere on the map. Okay, I didn't want to necessarily... There we go. Okay, and I just... Yeah, it was too low health to do anything there, and it looks like things going left lane. Good. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. Is you can just push a lane, make sure that it, you know, is built up so that it's at least going to go in the right direction. If it builds up a little bit, it gets all those range minions that do all that nice damage, and then it will forever travel down the lane and eventually reach the tower, the enemy tower. Here isn't a tip, but here is just a battle. Let's see what we can do here. Nothing. Nothing at all. So let's see if we can protect our inhibitor. Probably should be. They should be able to. They don't have, or they do have their prime orb, their prime buff. Okay. So here we're just gonna get rid of this wave here. Start this going in the right direction, and then what we're going to do is push it elsewhere. So, oh, are you kidding me? That's a pile of baloney for sure. I'm gonna get out of that damage. Okay, so there's a nice 2/3 of my health gone just for nothing. So yes, these are some things that I found so far, and that it kind of changes the way you play. It really does. If you know, are able to go. Nope. I mean, with Prime Orb, they're just simply too powerful here to do anything. I'm gonna should try to at least here protect our carry. Nothing I can do there, except now go after this Richter. Or should actually go for this. Do this here. All right, so that's not going very well. Definitely need to go back here. Oh boy. They've turned this game around for sure. Another tip is actually one that's happening right now. Place way more value on your death timer than you would think otherwise. If you think that, you know, dying is just dying, you know, oh, whatever, you know, I'm just dead for whatever. It's everything. The enemy team has turned this game around because of one engagement. This game has come down to one engagement and one engagement only. They got a great team fight. And they had numbers advantage from there. They created a siege advantage. And then there's been a third team fight that kind of happened around Orb Prime just now that would have sealed the deal if they had just played a little bit smarter. But your death means so much, and you absolutely need to put way more emphasis on it than I think most people would think. So this right here, this Rampage, yeah. This Rampage here going in like that, I mean, he is Rampage, he does have his ultimate, but doing that for any other hero would have been a really, really, really bad idea. So let's do this here. I'm gonna go away, try to go. I'm gonna try to focus the... Okay, so no, we're just kind of incinerated by the enemy team. And yeah, you know, that death. I've said in a previous video of mine that really this game comes down to 2 deaths. It comes down to 2 deaths, 2 team fights. One to create a siege advantage, which they did. A second one to create a numbers advantage, which turns into a siege advantage, and then 2 to win the game. That's really about it. If you want to be kind of picky about it, I suppose you could say that first team fight creates a numbers advantage. The second, that is what I'm saying. Siege advantage, and then the second one to secure the win. Those deaths are everything. You can't die in vain. You have to make sure that what you are doing is worth it. It's a good team fight. It's a good engagement. If it's not, just back up. Just get out of there. Playing it safe is the best way to go about really the late mid game into the late game. That is the best way to go about it. Play it safe. And there's the defeat, ladies and gentlemen. Those are some of the few tips here that I have kind of gleaned from my recent experience. But there's a few others. Maybe perhaps playing like 0 and 5. Like, really? Playing a hero that you are good at, playing a few heroes that you are good at, having a good core of heroes that you go with, one for each kind of role that you really know well, stick to, so you can be a positive contribution to your team. That's probably another tip here. I don't really play that well all the time, and I think that's exactly why. I have all these heroes that I try to get, familiar with, show to you guys, but it doesn't really end up being very well. And maybe that's a tip in itself, guys. Maybe try to have one of each class, one of each role, and play those heroes, get to know them well. Play every hero just to get to know them so you can counter them, but have a core set of heroes that you learn, get really familiar with, and play very well. Those are just some of them, guys. I'm sure that there's more, but you really think of any other ones. I wrote a short list, some very key ones there. Yeah, those health tokens, those special little tokens and early game items are actually more surprising than you would think. Check them out. Circular Mana and Health for supports. I love my Muriel. I'm going to try to get that into the build because I actually find it really, really cool that you can keep your carry alive and enable them to do so much, and you can also benefit from them as well. Junglers, try Health Potion, two strike tokens that gives you way more damage than, well, twice as much damage as going just for a key or any other kind of thing. So maybe if you do get a really early gank off, you can actually make that work. And then right when you get 3 card power, usually right at actually the 3-minute mark, you can go back, get that Harvester Key, and then go from there. Everybody, don't just ward off your lane, but ward off the enemy jungle. Go in just a little bit so that the radius can collect all 3 of those buffs. On the black buff side, it's a little bit more difficult. They're a touch more spread out, but I think it is doable. Allow your jungler to get all of the harvesters and let them. And what I mean by that is play it safe in your lanes. Don't create a scenario where he's running all over the place trying to cover lanes, cover people's deaths, stuff like that. Enable him to kind of do his job. Get those 4 harvesters, 2 on each side and 2 in your jungle. Enable him to get those really quick, and then you can and then he can rotate and do his stuff, and then you have to help him do collect the harvesters, because he definitely can't be running around grabbing all those all the time, or else he's just would be doing anything else. And try your best to use 1-point upgrades throughout your entire 6 slots. Fill those up as much as you can. I mean, I only have 4 strike tokens, so if I wanted to do that, oh boy, you'd need about 2 or so in each slot, so that's like 12 minor strikes. I just don't have any, so if you do use them to your fullest, because I mean, spending 36 card power and getting actually 42 out of it, that's amazing. That's really cool. Or just keep that principle in your brain. Keep that principle in your brain. 1-point upgrades gives you more value than anything else in cards that have hopefully upgraded bonuses, of course. So there you go, guys. There's a few more. Split pushing, you know, only making sure that you build a minion wave of your own and then let them do the pushing while you go and be helpful elsewhere, win that team fight, get a buff, get Orb Prime, and then join in on that minion wave later on when it's closer to the enemy tower, so you can surprise the enemy and go boo, take down that tower really quick because they didn't see you, right? They didn't see you marching up that side that whole time. They didn't think you were there. You can surprise them, etc. There you guys go. There's a few more tips, but I'm sure I'll think of them later. If you like this video, like it, dislike it, share it with the community. Of course, guys, subscribe. If you found this helpful, found it useful, simply enjoy the content, subscribe so I can do it for you later. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.